Good day, students. This is the shortest theme in this course or in this module, but it's also a very important theme because what we are going to do in this theme is to try and determine who is responsible for each activity that we have to do in order to complete the project. So the theme is called the RAM. RAM doesn't stand for Random Access Memory, it stands for Responsibility Allocation Matrix. Okay, so while creating the WBS, the question who is needed to do this and who will be responsible are addressed for each work package. The answers result in the responsibility assignment for all areas of the project, and people responsible for areas of the project and details of that responsibility are documented and communicated in the responsibility assignment or allocation matrix. Okay, I forgot to tell you that RAM can stand, the A in RAM can stand either for assignment or for allocation. It depends on which book you read. Okay, so when we do the work breakdown structure, we already decide who is going to do that specific activity. The thing is that that is not enough, because there is more than just doing the work that is involved with each activity. So typically, this is what a responsibility matrix looks like. You will see that on the y-axis over here, you will find every single activity from the work breakdown structure. And then remember, when we were talking about the work breakdown structure, we spoke about the fact that you need a work breakdown structure number for each item. And so we put it on the responsibility allocation matrix so that we can now refer back to that specific item on the work breakdown structure. Then on the x-axis of our responsibility allocation matrix, we put all the stakeholders. So normally our team members are the main people that are doing the work. So we will put them in a separate box, and then there will be other stakeholders that are also going to affect the way we do the project and are going to have to give input to our project. Another important thing is when we draw up a responsibility allocation matrix, we always have a key. Now, in various books on project management, they use various keys, but in this course, the key that we are going to use is the RACI key. R stands for primary responsible, A stands for approve, C stands for consult, and I stands for inform. So this is why you can see that just putting a responsible person on the WBS for each item is not good enough, because we also need to know who is going to approve a specific activity. Then there will also be people that we need to consult with, or people that are helping us on that specific activity, and we will then indicate them with a C. And the choices and the decisions that we make when we do a specific activity also has an impact on other people's activities, and so we need to inform them either that the activity is completed, or we need to inform them on the decisions that we've taken on that specific activity. And that is why we then have an I over there. Alright, so this is a responsibility allocation matrix for building a hotel. So you will see here all the activities. Let's look at, for example, the detail plans. So you will see that on the detail plans, the draftsman is responsible for drawing up the detail plans. If we look at the sketch plans, you will see that the architect does the sketch plans, but then the draftsman takes those sketch plans and puts them into detail plans. Can you note one thing on this responsibility allocation matrix, and that is that there is only one person responsible for each activity. If you go through the whole matrix, you will see that never is there more than one person responsible for an activity. Why is that? It's because if we make more than one person responsible for an activity, that's the easiest way of passing the buck. So if we had said that for the detail plans, the architect and the draftsperson is responsible, the architect can turn around and say, oh, but I thought the draftsman was doing it, and the draftsman can turn around and say, oh, I thought that the architect was doing it. So you can see that in order to get away from that dilemma, we give the draftsman that responsibility, but the architect has to approve the plans at the end of the day. Now, in terms of approval, you will see that we can have more than one person approving something. So in terms of the detail plans, obviously the architect has to approve it and say, yes, this is in line with the sketch plans that are made. But the client also has to approve it and has to say, yes, this is really what I want. And in terms of building a hotel, the municipality also gets involved in the approval, because the municipality has to give final approval that you can actually go ahead and start building. So this is a very good example of where you can see that approval is necessary by more than one stakeholder on a project. Then if we look at consult, you can see that in terms of site meetings, we want one person who's probably the site manager responsible, or the project manager, it doesn't say here, but let's say this is the project manager, responsible to arrange and run the site meetings. But he can't do that by himself, so he has to consult with the builder, with the foreman, with the plumber, the electrician, the people that are supplying the cement, and the architect. And those people have to be at the site meetings depending on where we are in the project. So you can see that they are all consulted on the site meetings. But we don't make them responsible for the site meetings, because Jay Mashlangu is the one who is responsible for calling the site meetings, for making sure that minutes are kept, for making sure that decisions are taken and minuted, and that responsibilities are discussed. Then in terms of inform, you can see that the detail plans, okay, so let's talk about the detail plans again. You can see that the foreman, John, has to be consulted on the detail plans, because very often architects dream up things which, when it comes to implementation, are impossible to do. So before the plans are sent to the municipality, we want the foreman to look at it and to say, yes, this is doable. So he's not approving it, but he is consulted on whether it's doable or not. Then the other thing is, other people such as the buyer, the plumber, the electrician, and the cement suppliers are affected by whether the plans are approved or not, because they can only start work once the plans are approved. So we need to inform them on the process. So this is in terms of the team members. On the other hand, in terms of the stakeholders, the hotel manager, the interior decorator, and the garden designer also need to be informed what the status is of the approval of the final plans, because down the line they are affected by when those plans are approved. Okay, now I find that students, well, the first thing students do wrong when they draw up a responsibility allocation matrix, and even in practice I've seen that, is that they make more than one person primary responsible. Remember, that's a no-no. You cannot do that. If there's more than one person primary responsible for the task, then you haven't broken the task down to enough level of detail. So you probably need another activity if two people are responsible. Secondly, they don't think about approval consulting and informing, and so you will get a higgledy-piggledy responsibility allocation matrix, and every row will have CACCAIII in it. All right, and that shows me that you haven't put your mind to it and you haven't thought through it clearly, who it is that needs to be informed, who it is that has to approve, and who has to be consulted. Because remember, we live in an age of information overload. So if I don't need to know something, don't tell me that. So you can see that if we draw this up at the beginning and we make it available to all the stakeholders, it can be used as a tool for communication, because if in, for example, the detailed plans, you can see here that on this specific responsibility allocation matrix, James Schlanger, who we've said is the project manager, is not informed or consulted about the detailed plans. Now, probably he has decided that he doesn't want to be informed or consulted because he trusts the draftsperson that is responsible for it, and so in his experience he doesn't have to be informed or consulted. But by putting this on the table, James Schlanger can now look at this and say, hey, but wait a minute, guys, actually I would like to be informed what the status of the approval of the plan is, and then an I can be added there for him. So do you see that this is a communication tool that you use at the beginning of the project and also throughout the project to determine who needs to know what. Okay, so that is basically the responsibility allocation matrix. So in terms of the RACI, you can see the A as approve, or you can see it as accountable. But because we already have R as the primary responsible person, and that person is actually accountable, the A should stand for who approves it. Okay, and then just to recap, for each task you show who is responsible, and for each person you show the kind of responsibility. So responsible, approve, consult, or inform. And not everybody has to have a responsibility on every single task of the work breakdown structure. Okay, so in class next time, we are also then going to look at the responsibility allocation matrix for the KYP Career Day stall. What I intend doing is I intend going through the theory very quickly in about half an hour, and then the other hour and a half will be spent on doing your scope statement, doing your work breakdown structure, and doing your responsibility allocation matrix. And then we will ask some of the groups to come and share with us what they have done so that we can learn from each other. Okay, so thank you and enjoy the rest of your weekend.